I remember very distinctly that I wasn't afraid. You know, for being 5 and having a strange man standing up near my bedroom, it didn't scare me at all. I remember feeling like he was trying to tell me something.
She pointed to the street. She was saying a sound that was really a gravel sound, like she was saying, danger, danger. She was telling me danger. And I found out why later on.
My parents divorced when I was about a year old, so it's primarily my mother and my sister and I. My stepfather, my sister and I are about 2 years apart, so we had a lot of the same friends and did a lot of the same things. We went to summer camp and up to my grandma's for the weekend and stuff. We were really fortunate because we had friends who lived really close, so we could, you know, I was walking myself to school when I was 5. I think that it's very possible that in some ways I get warnings. I think that there's probably lots of times when I've been warned and I should have paid attention and I didn't. I think that sometimes some of us are just more susceptible to information.
Bold black graphics against a bright yellow background. They alert us to sharp turns, steep hills, winding roads. They're traffic warning signs, and they make driving a lot safer. Life, though, isn't a highway. But wouldn't it be nice if it had signs tipping us off about impending danger? And wouldn't it be nicer still if they were delivered by spirits that care deeply for us? I'm Lawrence Chow. Today on Ghostly Encounters, we meet Christine and Tasheen, and we hear their eerie stories of supernatural warnings. Christine Robb was 5 years old when the ghost of a strange man seemed to appear in her home. She knew something important was happening, but she didn't know what. Sometime later, she would understand, but by then, it would be too late.
I would have either been 5 or nearly 5. I was sitting on the couch in the living room. If you sat on the sofa, you could look just off to your left and you'd see the stairs going up to the bedrooms. So I looked up and there was somebody standing at the top of the stairs. He was bald. His ears kind of stuck out a bit. He was sort of standing just back a bit into the shadow. I remember very distinctly that I wasn't afraid. That, you know, for being 5 and having a strange man standing up near my bedroom, it didn't scare me at all. I remember feeling like he was trying to tell me something. He didn't seem to be, he wasn't moving his lips or anything. There was never really a certain expression on his face. You know, he didn't point or anything at me. But I do remember a lot more of how I felt with him there. And that was that I wasn't paying attention. You know, that feeling when you're getting in trouble for something and it's because you weren't listening. And I sort of had that feeling that I should have been listening. I wasn't paying attention. I missed something. And he was there for a minute and then he was gone. My mother, my stepfather had had a party, and at this party there was a man there who would light his cigarettes with a match, and he would blow them out by flicking them with his fingers. And I thought that was the coolest thing I had ever seen, that he didn't have to blow on it. He could just get the match to go out. So the next morning I got up early and I was home alone with my mom, and I was downstairs on the couch watching TV, and there was a book of matches on the coffee table. And I was in my nightgown, and they had just come out with glow-in-the-dark, so I had this great little glow-in-the-dark bunny on my little nightie. I lit a match and flicked it out and put it in the ashtray and did it again, and thought that was really great. And I lit a third one, and I flicked it, and I thought it had gone out. My mother called from upstairs to see what I was doing, and I said nothing, and I was holding the match in my hand, and I guess as I said that to her, the match burnt the tips of my fingers, so I dropped it on my nightgown. When I dropped the match on my nightgown, I didn't cry, I didn't scream, I didn't do anything. I just thought, I'm in big trouble. So I grabbed the sides of it that weren't burning, and I pulled it away from myself to stop it from burning me. And I figured if I could turn the faucet on, I would be able to put it out and nobody would have to know and everything would be fine. And I realized I couldn't hold my nightie away from me and turn on the faucet at the same time. So that's when I panicked, and it just popped into fire. It just exploded. It was a lot really fast. I started to scream. I can very distinctly remember my mother not even touching a stair when she came down. Even now, my mom says, you know that sound when your child is dying. You know that sound. That's not, I fell and cut myself. That's awful sound. I was in the hospital for about 2 months. I have third-degree burns on something like 70% of my body. I had like a metal dome that went over my bed, so because I couldn't wear clothes, I couldn't have anything touching me, so I had to stay in this sort of sealed room. Everybody had to come in and wear masks and gowns and everything. I blamed my mother because she was home alone with me, so every time she'd come to see me, I would scream at her that it was her fault. I was here, she burned me, she did this. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be here. She tried to kill me, and I was awful. It was really hard for her. It was a really long recovery for being 5. I remember being home, and it was so hard being home because it was getting hot outside, and I had to wear long pants and long sleeve shirts because of my burns. I couldn't let any sun get on them. I spent a lot of time in the house, and I was, it was in a lot of pain, and it was really uncomfortable, and it was so boring. So I was sitting on the couch again, and I think probably feeling pretty sorry for myself. And I looked up the stairs again, and he was there. I looked up the stairs again, and he was there. I knew I wasn't dreaming. I knew I was awake. I knew it felt like there was somebody there. I didn't feel like I was pretending or imagining. And this time he did step a bit forward so that I could get a better look at him. His face, his whole head had actually been burned, sort of no eyebrows and tight skin, and he didn't say anything. Again, he didn't move, but it's much more impressions and feelings than anything. I remember feeling just that it was my own fault. I should have listened. He was trying to tell me in the first place. Had I paid attention, this wouldn't have happened to me. I think he knew what was going to happen. I think he knew that something bad was going to happen to me, and I think he tried to tell me. I do very distinctly remember feeling sort of comforted, though, at the end, that that it was, I'd be okay, that everything was going to be all right. I didn't say anything to anybody about it. We lived in a house that, the kids were kids and the adults were adults, and nary the two shall meet. So, they did their thing and we did our thing, and we didn't talk about stuff like that. And I'm sure even if I did, it would have been absolutely my imagination. I was 5, you know, so, and I had just been through a trauma. So for me to see somebody in the house who was burned was probably pretty natural to them to feel that I had imagined it. You know, people talk about guardian angels and you know, people who look over them, and I guess that would be probably the closest I could describe it.
Christine believes the bald man was there to tell her not to play with fire, but she didn't pay attention. She missed the warning and suffered terrible consequences. But maybe things are a little more complicated, and maybe Christine is being too hard on herself. After all, for a 5-year-old, the ghostly appearance could have been an everyday occurrence. The bald man could have just been a neighbor she'd never met. And besides, kids that age don't analyze things the way grown-ups do. So if the bald man really was a spirit sent to warn her, Christine can't be faulted for ignoring the warning. Tasheen Moses was an adult when he had his brush with danger, and he was ready to heed a warning from his loving, caring mother, even if she was already dead.
I grew up, our family was quite large. We have 5 brothers, and I have 2 sisters. My religious beliefs is Pentecostal. Go to church where you clap and sing and praise God. My relationship with my mother was very interesting. My mother was a very disciplined type woman. She believed in God. She brought me up in church. She was very close to us. There was nothing going on in our personal lives that we tried to hide from her that she did not know. And she was one who was always willing to give advice and very protective. She always liked to comment on my friends before I got married, the different girlfriends, who was good, who was not good. She's one of those kind of moms. I like her. No, I don't like her. You better get rid of her. She was very, very close to us all the way up until at the end. And when your body dies, I think that the energy is so great that it's impossible for that to die too. You know what I mean? So I feel like the skeptics better wake up and smell the coffee, because spirits are true, they're real, and they're very much here with us today.
As long as they're alive, mothers worry about their children and try to warn them of danger. But Tasheen says his mom was special, because as far as he's concerned, she was able to protect him years after her death.
My mother passed away natural causes. She had a stroke. I was heartbroken to a degree that I couldn't even explain, because my mom, I loved her so much. I made so much plans. My career had just started taking off. I had started making preparations to have her have a better life. And then she passed suddenly and couldn't share the success with me, and it hurt me really, really bad. So I really was going through a really bad emotional state. We had her cremated at her request. She always said that, you know, that she didn't want to just put all that money into the ground and so forth. And I keep her remains with me at my home. And actually, me and my brothers and sisters, we share keeping my mom with us. This is the urn that keeps me company all the time. I just feel comfortable that I can hear her. I can hear her. And sometimes I think I make her mad, because I'll be shaking her around. Wake up, Mom, wake up, wake up. Sometimes I wake up in the morning and I just, wake up, Mom, good morning. You know what I mean? I'm not the kind of person that put an urn over there and scared to touch it. I teach my children, this is your grandmother. Inside the urn, it's her remains. You can hold the urn, you can hug the urn. It's your grandmother in there. When they're having the gospel on Sunday, I'll take the urn out of the living room and I'll put it right in the den where the TV and where the gospel music and the preacher's going on. And I watch TV and I have her urn there too, right with me. So me and her watching TV just like that. In this present day, I know for a fact that my mom's spirit is connected to the urn. There's different things that happen in my house while I have the urn, and I feel comfortable very much with it. I was her favorite son. So I figured if her spirit was gonna come back, her spirit was gonna come back and visit me. It was a time when you have to clean out her belongings and pack up everything. And so as I was passing through the house, it's one of those antique, old-fashioned frame mirrors that you would see in the classic movies. And this particular mirror was in her bedroom. This mirror, she always had a lot of when she got pretty, she always looked prettied up with her makeup, she would always look inside this mirror. And so when I was taking some things back home with me from there, I took the mirror with me. With that mirror, I started to see her image. She looked it like she was 30 years younger. I know that sounds strange, but her face had gotten tight and her nose was pointy and young and pretty. And I see it, and then the image will go, disappear. After I got comfortable with the fact that that my mom's spirit was there, you know, I mean, I would just talk, but I'll say what I say. I love you, Mom. I know you're here. There was one occasion where I was laying down, watching television. You know, I kind of dozing off a little bit. And then, like, I heard a noise, you know, at the door. And I figure that maybe some debris, is kind of windy, something knocking at the door. So I look at the door, and it was my mom. I was excited in a way, and shocked in a way, and wondering, is this for real in a way? And am I losing my mind or what? She pointed to the street. She was saying the sound, there's really a gravel sound, like she was saying, Don John. Like, who is Don John? Who is Don John? But then after I thought about it, she was saying danger. It seemed like it lasted for 20 minutes or more, but in reality, the experience lasted about 30 seconds. I was kind of confused, and I wanted to talk to her. I wanted to see her again, but she came and gone so fast, you know? Said what she had to say, and she was gone. She was telling me danger, and I found out why later on. She pointed to the street. She was telling me danger. And I found out why later on. The next morning, I was in bed, and sometimes I turn my burglar alarm on, sometimes I don't. That particular night, I would not have turned it on because I was tired. I didn't care. It was a weekend, I didn't care. I hear like tools. I hear like metal to metal. Like I hear like somebody scratching putty out of the window pane, like scratch, 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 scratch. You know, somebody's trying to take the window pane out of the frame. And it woke me up. He see me, I see him, and he's shocked, I'm shocked, and oh my God. I jump up and I run over to hit my panic alarm on my burglar alarm system. And I see, you know what I mean, he was making his way, trying to find his way into his car, and the guy, he dropped his keys right where my mom was at the night before. And I was able to get a good description of the guy, and we were able to catch the guy. He had actually burglarized 3 homes in that neighborhood within the recent 6 months. I felt like I had heads up. I felt like I have a new relationship with my mom from her spirit life because she gave me some information. She kind of prepared me. And so I felt happy that my mom visited me in her spirit life to warn me and save my life.
Tasheen believes his mother warned him of the burglary and is pleased that she continues to protect him after her death. Christine thinks the bald man was trying to warn her and found his presence strangely comforting. To David Reed, our theological consultant, these experiences connect to a belief in providence or divine care and guidance. It often involves warnings of danger, and it's usually seen in the form of guardian angels. That's how Christine describes the bald man, and Tasheen certainly wouldn't object to calling his mother his guardian angel.
I don't think that there's any pearly gates. I don't think we die and then there's this magical place that we go to. And yet I do think that there are sometimes places and people that are unsettled and can't move on. He didn't frighten me. He just, in a odd sort of way, it just was really comforting. So I think that was all he was there for.
What I think of my mom right now, I think my mom is so wonderful because she was not selfish. She did not go into her spirit life and leave us. She came back, and she's making sure that she protects us. So I feel very comfortable that my mom is with us today.